everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. So this is going to be something which a lot, at least 70% of my viewers have asked me this question and I'm tired of replying back, so I decided to make up a video finally. I just don't understand if it is because you are not able to read through the guidelines on the HCPC website that you're not being able to understand, or is it that you haven't got the whole context of what is given on the HCPC website. So the biggest and the most common and the most popular question of all times is IELTS mandatory for HCPC registration? Let's get started. So firstly, I'd like to say one thing very clearly and very precisely, that please stop listening to anybody and everybody about rules or regulations put forward by a professional counsel, because I know that India is yet to have a professional body for physiotherapy, but once we have it, I think so many things would be set right. So likewise, UK has got a professional body where it has, some set rules and regulations for various things around, be it your professional ethics, your conduct, your standards of proficiency and stuff like that. There is so much. So I would actually put down the HCPC link below on my description box so that you get to go and read all these things which are written very clearly in the website of HCPC Healthcare and Professionals Council. So please go check it out on the website. And also, for a lot of you not knowing what HCPC really is, let me just quickly say that also. What is HCPC? HCPC is a body. It's a regulatory body. It's a professional body where there is about 15 occupations which is regulated under this professional body. So this is basically a license or a registration that you need to have if you want to professionally work in your own job title. Like if you are a physiotherapist, if you need to work with that title, you need HCPC registration. Otherwise, that's a legal offense. It's a criminal offense what you're doing. So just like nurses have got their council, the NMC council in UK, so likewise we physios and radiographers and all the 15 occupations under the HCPC Council have got to go through the registration process, get the title and the PIN number, and then only go forward with their profession. Okay, so this is what HCPC is all about. I have explained this only because there are so many people who really don't know what HCPC is, and they are looking forward for the registration. So first and foremost, what you need to go to the website. I'll put the link down. Go and check what HCPC is all about, what the standards of your profession is. If you are a radiographer, if you're a dietitian, if you're a physiotherapist, if you're an occupational therapist, a speech and language therapist, whatever may be your profession, go check what your standards of proficiency are and then only go in for the registration. So the next thing is if IELTS is mandatory. So the biggest question, if IELTS is mandatory or not, I would say IELTS is mandatory if you cannot prove your language of proficiency, because it's very clearly written in the site, in the HCPC site, that you'll have to prove your language of proficiency, which is English. So a lot number of you have been asking me, how can we prove it other than IELTS? If you want to prove it that way, please make sure that you contact your university and the college that you've done your graduation and ask them to provide you with a medium of language document, which they will provide you, certify it, and then only keep it along with your HCPC document. So how do you certify the English language document? With a gazetted rank officer of that rank, you can certify it, have his or her seal on the document, and then make them write a single statement that they have seen the original copy, because obviously, okay, you might be keeping an original copy for this one, but make sure that you keep a color copy of it, a color Xerox copy of it, so that you have the original with you just in case you might need it sometime later. So keep it along, certified and saying that he or she has seen the original document of it, and they are certifying it. So get the certified document from your university or college. And if you are willing to write an English proficiency test for your registration, because you cannot find a way out to certify a document or to submit a document which is proving that you are proficient in English language, then what you have to keep in mind is there are two tests that is available. One is International English Language Testing System, which is the IELTS, and now the updated score at present, while I'm doing this video on the 17th of February, so 2021. So right now the updated score is overall 7 with no element or no module below 6.5. So that's the updated score for the IELTS test. Now, for everyone asking me, is IELTS academic or IELTS general mandatory for registration? Now, this question is very, very crucial, because IELTS academic is mandatory for students coming over to the UK. Okay, if you're coming over for a student visa, it is mandatory, yes, but IELTS academic is not mandatory for HCPC registration. You can do the general IELTS for your registration. Again, having said that, things keep on changing, so make sure that you confirm with the HCPC Council even before listening to this and jumping over into a conclusion. So just like I said, confirm everything. You can easily drop in an email and they'll easily respond back to you in about 7 working days. And because of the COVID situation, I do understand that so many different offices are temporarily shut down in UK, in the whole of London. So London is where all the offices for the HCPC are, working over. So yes, there are so many offices shut down temporarily, but they'll get back to normal, and they do respond back to emails. That is why they've kept that international email out there, so you can drop in and all the email, all the links to that, everything I have put it up in the previous video, so please go check out my previous video and the videos before, so that you can understand more about it. So I've given up the minimum score of the test. For a registration, I would say general IELTS is also well and good, fair enough. But what I would say is, if you give the academic IELTS, and when later on in the near future, which is like we are waiting for March, because March is when the positive response is going to come out. If I'm talking about physiotherapists, not the other occupations which have entered the shortage occupation list. Please watch the whole of my video to understand so many different points. Don't watch bit by bit and then go away and then come and ask certain doubts, because that's what I'm seeing a lot of you guys are doing. You see bits and portions which you need, and then you come up with lots of doubts. It is impossible to come over and say that you haven't said that, you haven't said this, because I might have said all of that on my video, but you haven't been watching the video fully. I'm not being arrogant here or being rude here. I'm just saying the facts. It isn't really easy to sit and put all informations together, but I'm giving sites, I'm giving the links to all the sites which is mandatory. So coming back to our point, do make sure that when you're doing your IELTS test and when you're keeping up the test report form with your HCPC application, make sure that you don't keep the original one. If possible, don't keep the original one, I would say. Instead, certify it, certify a color copy of it and keep it along with your application form. That also was another doubt. So see, this is how I'm, whenever I remember certain things which people have asked me, I would answer that in the video. So make sure that you watch the whole video. Also another one doubt was, so I've cleared the doubt regarding if IELTS is mandatory or not. So another test so many people were asking me about was TOEFL test. Is TOEFL accepted in the UK? If you're taking a TOEFL test outside the UK, it is not accepted by the HCPC Council, because if you're taking the test only inside the UK, will it be accepted? That is clearly written in the HCPC website. So that is the test of English as a foreign language, internet-based test, IBT. So TOEFL. So the minimum score of TOEFL is 100 out of 120, and this is a test which should be given inside the UK for them to, so if you are a person who has come here on some other visa and you're looking for registration, then you can definitely take the test. So another one doubt was also about speech and language therapists and their score for IELTS, if they're doing the test, that is. So because they're on the shortage occupation list, so many speech and language therapists have been asking about their minimum score for speech and language therapists in IELTS is 8 overall with no element below 7.5. Their score is higher for the IELTS than the other one. It's because they are speech and language therapists, so they'll have to be that proficient. Even when I was doing my IELTS for the HCPC registration, the overall score was 7.5. This is like about 3 years back, I'm saying. So it was 7.5. So and no element below 6.5. That was the same. So they've reduced it now to overall 7, which is a good thing. So yes. I'll get back to you. So that is how things are working out. And what are the exemptions to certification, or what are the exemptions to not giving in an IELTS test? Every international applicant must provide a certificate unless you are a national of a relevant European state other than the UK, a national who is of inside UK and who is seeking access to or pursuing a profession inside the community. And if you are a person who is not a national of a relevant European state but who is enforceably working in the community and is entitled to be treated no less favorably than a national of a relevant European state, that is also written. Then who is a native English speaker for whom English is their first language. Also, you don't have to give in a test or a certification or prove your English proficiency. This is again an exempt for speech and language therapists. These individuals must provide the HCPC with an appropriate English language proficiency test certificate unless English is their first language. So there are exemptions for speech and language therapists because they deal with the language on a more different basis than the other occupations under the HCPC. Now, if you're declaring that English is your first language, okay, if you're declaring that English is your first language, then you don't have to provide a certification. That is the meaning. So this must only be done if it is your main language and the only language that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and you have studied English, or if you have studied English or you have undertaken higher education that was taught in English, that is not sufficient to claim that English is your first language. So you cannot claim that English is your first language if that is the case. So you might have to ask for further evidence, and you will have to prove your English language proficiency if you don't come from an English majority speaking country. English speaking country like in major. So I'll keep things short here. They're saying basically that if you're coming from overseas, if you're not a national of the United Kingdom, then you'll have to either prove yourself, that you're proficient in the language, you can communicate well, which again I said, once again I'll say, you can do it from the university or from your college or whatever, okay? And otherwise you'll have to give in the English language test. So that is how it is done. Now, applicants whose first language is not English and who are required to provide a language certificate as evidence must also ensure that it is comparable to IELTS with level 7, no element below 6.5, or IELTS level 8, no element below 7.5 for speech and language therapists. Okay, so that is that. And yeah, I think that is about it, which so many of you had doubts about. The test IELTS can be taken in over 180 centers in 110 countries, and for further information for the IELTS test, you can actually contact the British Council offices in your own country. I think everyone will know about it, so I wouldn't talk more about it. So you just have to put in your queries, if any, about international applications or about IELTS. You can mail them into international@hcpc-uk.org. That is their email ID, where you can contact them for more details regarding your HCPC IELTS, IELTS is mandatory or not, and stuff like that. Okay, so I hope I've cleared so many of your doubts out there, and I hope I've done enough justice. Okay, so make sure that you watch all the videos, and make sure you watch them fully when you're watching, so that you don't get confused on what I'm saying, what I'm not saying, what I'm adding, what I'm not adding, and stuff like that. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned for more upcoming videos.